today I'm going to take you around one of our newest tractors, the 6300, part of the all-new 6000 series range. So these machines have been designed from the ground up, yet have been designed with the Fastrac key difference in mind, retaining the productivity, versatility, comfort, safety and speed that the entire Fastrac product range is built on. So this machine is powered by an FPT engine paired with a ZF 4-range auto-range gearbox. This machine has a maximum horsepower of 335 and has a top speed capability of 66 kilometers per hour. The 6300 also has the all-new option of integrated single-line CTIS, or central tyre inflation system, meaning that from within the cab the tyre pressures can be set for optimum road and field pressures, ensuring you get maximum traction within the field, but also helping the tyre life whilst working on the road. As with all Fastrac, the braking capability is hugely important for the safety of our operators, but people working around the machine as well. As such, we've got all-round outboard disc brakes with single calipers as standard, delivering consistent and excellent stopping power. On the front of the machine, we have an optional 5-ton front linkage and optional front PTO. In terms of hydraulics, this machine can deliver up to 205 litres per minute of hydraulic flow, split between 7 spools maximum on the machine. We also have an optional high flow variant that can deliver up to 405 litres per minute of hydraulic flow. The cab on the machine is very similar to that of our Icon offering on the 4000 and 8000, our current products, and retains the key features of iConfigure, iConnect and iControl, offering a fully bespoke environment of setup using Layout Manager that allows you to set up the configurability of up to 5 screens within the cab. It allows you to configure both the auxiliary and main joysticks, the spool levers as well. Alongside this, we have an optional secondary screen, allowing you twice as much machine information on display at once. We also have fully integrated GPS, utilising a Novatel Smart 7 and Smart 2 receiver. This dual receiver design is an industry first, offering even more improved accuracy, line acquisition and satellite engagements.
Yeah, so our 6000 series takes us in a sector of the market that we've had no offering. So we've had no offering between 240 and 330 horsepower ever. So we really need now to get into that, and that's what the 6000 series is aimed to do, to get into the professional customer, the contractor, who needs that multi-role tractor to turn his hand to anything. So our wanted customer is the customer who will have be travelling over a large distance, have a multi-fleet of different attachments and machinery, but need a one solution for the tractive power. So will be professional farmers. These are large-scale farmers all across Europe and North America and the Pacific region, but really targeting that professional farmer.
What about the Scandinavian or the Swedish markets?
Yeah, so that's actually really strong for us, because Scandinavia, the Fastrac product itself lends itself because of its multi-role, especially with some of the winter applications that the Swedish and Scandinavian market do. So we see a real positive sort of direction for the 6000 series, given the high technology, the high speed, but also that manoeuvrability to be able to get into some of the smaller farms that I know Sweden has. So it should be a good package.
How is the sales today in Swedish market?
So in Swedish market we have had a bit of an uptick. We had a change of distribution over the past number of years, and now we've got quite a solid distribution. And we're really seeing some of our dealers embrace the Fastrac when traditionally they were standard sellers of other brands. But the customers also, we've got Fastracs on the market now, so you see them on the road, and that's becoming a real positive for us. So we're seeing an upwards trend in the volume of machines into Sweden.
In other terms of product development, like electric or hydrogen, how does that?
Yeah, so the 6000 series hasn't specifically been designed to be one or the other, because the market's evolving. If we'd have been here 12 months ago, we might have said electric was the future, then hydrogen, then methane. Then some people are saying diesel will be better but more efficient. So what we've decided is to, and that's one of the choices why we chose the FPT powertrain. You know, they have roadmaps for different solutions in the future. So really, that's what we've done. We've package protected for some different options by choosing FPT as our engine. So if we wanted to go down a hydrogen route, they have a strategy in the future to deliver that. If we wanted to go down the methane route, there would be possibilities there. Or if we want to just carry on using diesel but more efficiently, we can do that as well.
Yeah, you were talking about cutting costs and more efficient. How are you doing that?
Yeah, so one of the reasons, as you heard earlier, we've gone to a 1,000-hour service interval or annual. So these tractors, even if they worked hard, the dealer will only need to see them once a year. You know, with pretty low fluid consumption as well, so the actual pounds or euros that the customer has to pay is lower. You know, most traditional tractors in this class would be on 500 or 750 hours service interval. So in theory, that's half the service costs of a traditional tractor. On the 6000 series, one of the key developments we had was to make sure that the tractor delivered the best efficiency it could in all the systems. So we've fitted CTIS, we've fitted better control systems to make it easy, but the key change was with GPS. So we realised that GPS is becoming a standard requirement for most farmers. And the ability to get better accuracy of GPS is becoming more and more of a discussion. Once you're on the GPS story, you then want better and better. And by fitting our twin antenna system that we have, we drive our GPS line acquisition, we drive our ability to use the four-wheel steer on the tractor to its maximum potential. And historically we've been touching it in different ways and trying it, but actually now we've got a complete package that straight from the factory, the tractor can use twin antennas, four-wheel steer, and the true accurate A to B line that we need. We can still use John Deere or New Holland's GPS systems on our tractor. So we haven't said no, we just said if you use the JCB system, you get a better accuracy. If you want to use the John Deere system, you get all the wiring and bracketry and information to do that. So what we're saying is whatever system you have, we can make it work on the 6000 series. So the other thing that we spent a lot of time on is the suspension. People expect a Fastrac to be really comfortable, but obviously we'd redesigned the tractor completely with a new chassis, with new axles, so we have to redesign our suspension system to make that optimum. So not only have we redesigned the hardware, so different suspension spheres and different rams on the machine, but we've also redesigned the software. And what we do is we actually measure the pressure either side of the ram on the suspension system, similar to a 4000 series, that enables us to put pressure down onto the wheel to increase traction. It's because we have a full length chassis and the suspension is mounted off the chassis. As the weight is lifted by the plough, we can transfer that weight down the chassis through our suspension system to the front wheels. So rather than just adding more and more ballast on to keep the front of the weight to the tractor down, we can transfer the load through the suspension system, which enables, as you saw earlier, us to carry a large weight without carrying that extra ballast that essentially is lost energy. Carrying that weight around only to keep the balance right is just a lost energy and an inefficiency. Four-wheel steer has a long list of benefits, but if we want to go into the simple ones, it makes it more manoeuvrable. You know, if we look from our telehandler heritage, we know that if you have four-wheel steer, you can get in better places. But it's more than that. It's then, if you imagine the end of turn for a tractor that's going around the end of turn out of one lot of tram lines into the other, we only have one set of wheelings because our front wheels follow our back wheels. On a conventional tractor, you'll run two lots of crop over, so the damage to the crop can be huge. You know, we did a study on 2,000 acres. You can lose 2 acres of crop on a conventional tractor that is run over at the end of every turn, which is quite a lot.
So one of the new screen features I've been talking about is the all-new Layout Manager. So this allows you to configure screens suited to your functions, applications, implements, to see the information that you need to see on your screen. So you can set up to 5 configurable pages on the new 6000 series. If I go up here and tap New Page, this shows the layout of the screens that we can assign. If I then drag and drop the functions, you can see that we have different size capabilities. This will then default to the smallest size, but if I just tap on here and tap the plus buttons, you can see that this then maximizes the information and maximizes the space to allow you to fully configure the screen to your own requirements. There are a huge amount of options that can be assigned directly onto your screens, as we can see along this bottom bar, including your GPS and isobus functions, your tyre inflation system, as well as hydraulic spools and engine information. The options are endless of how you choose to set the screen up. You can also move things easily and edit the screen as you go along. If I then come out of here and assign something else, such as my GPS map, you'll see that this maximizes the space available as we go in and add further detail. Again, the idea of this is all about adding further configurability to the screen and maximizing the productivity that the Fastrac 6000 series is capable of. If I then go back to my home page, we can see the screens that I've set up with the information that I need directly to hand. If we had the optional secondary screen in the cab, this would be mounted on this A pillar here, and we can send information between the machines to have twice as much on display at once. This configurability follows over into the joystick controls as well. You can see at the moment I'm in a work profile called Poppy, and this has allowed me to assign the functionality directly onto the joysticks and the spool levers. Again, ease of use and intuitive design is what is key on the Fastrac and the Fastrac 6000 series. Again, a huge amount of options that we can assign directly onto the joysticks simply by clicking on them and dragging and dropping the functions to the buttons that we want them on. In total, that gives us 13 configurable controls across 2 joysticks, plus 6 proportional controls on the axis of the auxiliary joystick plus the thumb roller. Again, driving home the productivity and versatility that the Fastrac offers. And this can be saved across 50 different work profiles, maximising the configurability and the bespoke design of the Fastrac. We have now got an auto-release park brake, so you'll see then as I put the machine into forward and accelerated, it automatically released the park brake for me. I can pull away on my foot pedal and have complete control of the machine through my foot pedal and my brake pedal, but I can also drive the machine on the joystick. You see now as I push my joystick forward, that is allowing the machine to accelerate, and I have full speed control on here. I can then pull the joystick back to slow the machine down. We also have 2 cruise speeds available and a speed limiter as well, again allowing full configurability to set the machine up as you want. One standard feature of the 6000 series, much like the 4000, is the 4-wheel steering capability. So you'll see here that we're in 4-wheel steer, which means that both the front and rear axles of the machine are steering. This allows us to have excellent manoeuvrability and a very tight turning circle for a machine of this size and horsepower category. And like I say, this is a standard feature that is also linked into our GPS, as you can use the 4-wheel steer for increased accuracy for line acquisition when working with a GPS system. Again, this is a capability that only the Fastrac can have, thanks to its rear wheel steering capability as well as front wheel steer.
Currently we're just running the new 6300 Fastrac with a 3m CMO cultivator on the back. So just a little bit about how we've set the machine up. So I've customised this page so we get a blank page to begin with and we can put any features on here. So currently I've got the GPS page and then a headland turn assist. So I've programmed on this tractor to automatically, when I press the button, lower the machine into work. So drop the rear linkage and then extend and retract the blue spool. I've also set it so we can see some of our transmission settings as well. So we've obviously got the new ZF gearbox in the Traktor, and what that means is we have seamless change from 0 to 66k. We have no high and low range anymore, and within that range we have 4 points of efficiency. So currently what we've told the Traktor to do is I've set a cruise speed to 8 kilometers an hour, and with conditions good and the Traktor's well on top of the job, we know we're easily achieving that cruise speed. So what that means in terms of engine and transmission is that the engine, through the smart transmission controller, is backing off engine revs, so we're more efficient with fuel, so we're not using engine revs when required. But when we get up the top of the field where it's heavier, we'll increase engine revs as the Traktor needs more power to maintain that forward speed which we've set on the cruise. So when we get to the end, when I press 2 on the joystick, it automatically lifts the implement out of work, controlling different functions at the same time. And then when we come to turn round, I can line the GPS up, press 5, engage the GPS, select the cruise speed, and then drop the implement back into work. So this Traktor's currently running JCB's new twin steer GPS system. So we are currently running with both front and rear steering through setting of a rear axle offset. But also we can tell the GPS how we want to acquire the AB line, and we have that set in 4-wheel steer mode. So this gives us industry leading accuracy and timeliness in getting on the AB line, not only accurately but more quicker than the competition. So within the transmission settings we have a few new features. So we still have the same cruise speed and speed limiter functions as before, but we're also now able to adjust the engagement and the aggressiveness in which we engage cruise speeds, and we can simply just adjust by doing this. We also have a new feature which is power shuttle mode. So when I enable this preloads the transmission, so when we go between forwards and reverse for turning on the headland, say with a plough, we preload the transmission and we don't have any lag between forward and reverse. We can get there straight away, just making headland turns more efficient.